Hello all, let's welcome Mr. Rajdev Singh. He is partner Kingstub and Kasiva. He is going to guide us about NBFC and related compliances today. So welcome Mr. Rajdev Singh. Can you just explain us what is NBFC?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Abhijit, for this opportunity. And today, yes, we are just going to cover all the aspect about NBFCs. And as your first question goes about NBFCs, so I'll just try to cover from the basics, like what exactly NBFCs is, and then after we'll just take it forward. So answering to your question that what exactly NBFC means. So if you talk about the full form, so it stands for non-banking financial company. So in short, we call that NBFC. And that is as per the section 451 of subclause C of the RBI Act. So a non-banking company that carries the business of a financial institution. So that is basically what we call an NBFC. So this is a company which is registered under the Companies Act and is involved in the lending business. So it could be hire purchase, leasing insurance business, and receiving deposits, chit funds, stocks and shares and acquisitions. So the function of NBFCs are managed by both the Ministry of Corporate Affairs as well as by Reserve Bank of India.
Okay.
So this is how we can define it.
Okay, understood. And all financial services organizations, do they require NBFC license, or it's particular companies only those require NBFC license?
Right. So yeah, this is very important aspect to talk about, Abhijit. So the answer is going to be negative. So there are certain entities that are involved in the business of financial activities, but they do not require obtaining a registration with the RBI. So as these entities are regulated by other financial sector regulators, and they do not need either the NBFC registration or NBFC regulation with RBI. And so now the question is, what kind of entities are these? So these could be some insurance companies which are regulated by IRDAI, and some housing finance companies are there. So because they are already governed by a National Housing Bank, and then stockbroking, if we talk about, then they are regulated by SEBI, Securities and Exchange Board of India. And then there are some merchant banking companies which are regulated by SEBI. Mutual funds companies are there, again regulated by SEBI. Then we have venture capital companies, and then companies that run collective investment scheme which are regulated by again SEBI. Chit fund companies which are regulated by state government, that is also are the part of the same. And again, in latest development, Nidhi companies are also regulated by, because they are regulated by MCA, so that's why they are not falling under the bracket. So they do not require registration.
Now, if we wish to start NBFC, what are the requirements? How to proceed and follow the process to form an NBFC?
Yeah. So if you talk about how to see, because that always depends on the nature of the NBFC. So in broadly, you need to categorize. We can categorize this NBFC into two parts, two broader heads. So one is that go by as the nature of their activity, and the other is the basis of deposits. So these are the two categories in which we have to bifurcate, and then accordingly we have to their formalities are different. So there are different kind of NBFCs. So if we talk about the nature of activity, then these could be like asset finance company, loan company, mortgage, investment, core investment, infrastructure, and microfinance, housing finance. On the basis of deposit, you can categorize into two parts. So that can be deposit who are accepting NBFC, and non-deposit accepting NBFCs are there. So see, the requirement is going to be there are steps that one has to follow. So obviously they need to be a private limited company or a limited company. And apart from that, the minimum net owned fund of the company has to be 2 crore. That is since April 1999, earlier it was 25 lakhs. So So obviously, I mean, you should be registered. You should have valid license under Companies Act of 1956. I mean, that was in past now 2013. They have again 2 crores of net fund value has to be there, and then at least one director has to be of the same background and has to be a senior banker also. And this director that we are talking about, that has to they have to be. I mean, this person has to be a full-time director in the company, and there has to be a clean record of civil as well. And then once we have all this, then we can directly approach the RBI website. We can log in there and we can just try to upload all the documents and fulfill all the form and all that. And then we'll get one CARN number that will be generated, that will be given to us. So then after they'll just we also supposed to send the hard copies as well to the specific address which is mentioned on the RBI website as well. And once they go through the application and everything is fine, then the registration can be given.
Okay. And what are the guidelines of RBI in relation to NBFCs?
Yeah. So there are guidelines, and I mean that particular section is covered by Chapter 3 Act 1934. So, for example, NBFC, I mean, there are various examples that we can just talk generally, and these are important aspects because there are many. So that's why I'll just try to into few pointers only. So, for example, NBFC cannot accept or demand deposits from public depositories or investors as it is, because it is not authorized by a law. The minimum time period for which the public deposit can be taken, that is companies of 12 months, or while the maximum tenure can be 60 months. And the RBI will not guarantee the repayment of any amount which is taken by NBFCs. That is a well-known fact. And the company cannot charge any interest which is more than the obviously prescribed by the RBI. Apart from this, RBI can issue checks to their customers in order to make payments or settlement. Company has to furnish a record of statutory return on the deposits taken by the company. That is in the form of NBS 1, that is every year.
Okay.
So a company also has to furnish a quarterly return on the liquid assets of the company, and audited balance sheet has to be there. Company has to ascertain its credit rating every 6 months and submit the same to the RBI. Now the companies which have public deposit of 20 crores or more, or have their asset worth of around 100 crore or more, they will have to submit a half-yearly ALM return. And the depositors of NBFCs cannot avail securing a facility of a deposit insurance, or that we call DICGC. So that is Deposit Insurance and Credit Guarantee Corporation. So and only NBFCs that have duly rated and matches the recommended MIGC, so that is called minimum investment grade credit rating, are eligible to accept conditional deposit from the public depositor. And apart from this, the RBI has restricted NBFCs from providing additional benefits, extra incentives, or gift to the customers or depositors than those who are offered by the banks. So the company has to maintain a minimum of 15% of the public deposit in its liquid assets. So these are very important pointers that I have, you can say, probably clubbed together, and then I have informed you.
And how important is it to comply with RBI regulations?
Yeah, as we know, I mean, if we talk about registration, then we always talk about RBI and Companies Act. So obviously, it is quite important. RBI being the authority who takes care of these kind of, and always just prepare guidelines, furnish guidelines. So that is the reason why RBI Act 1934, it governs it. And there is a specific provisions are given under Section 45 of IA, wherein no non-banking financial companies can commerce or carry on business of NBFC without obtaining a certificate of registration from the bank, and without having a net own funds of 2 crore. And however, as you know, I mean, there are certain companies which are exempted. that we already talked about, like venture capital fund and merchant banking companies, stockbroking, insurance companies, Nidhi, Chit. We have already covered that. So these are the ones. So that is very important to cover. Yeah.
Okay. Now there are NBFCs who gives loans to people, companies as well as individuals. Now we would like to understand the compliances to be ensured by these companies from RBI perspective.
Yes. So when you talk about compliances, Abhijit, so there's a list of compliances, n number of compliances are there in the form of NBF forms. So there are various numbers that one has to comply, and these are divided into various segments. So that can be monthly basis, quarterly basis, or 6 months basis, and annually basis. However, today I'm just going to cover the main circulars that wherein something has been created by RBI so that they can just regulate it properly. So, for example, in 6th February 2015, so wherein NBFCs, they were advised to become a member of at least one CIC, which stands for Credit Information Company. So presently 4 CICs are there. So one is Credit Information Bureau Limited and Equifax Credit Information Services Private Limited, and then Experian Credit Information Company of India Private Limited, and CRI Highmark Credit Information Service Private Limited have been granted certificate of registration by RBI. So in terms of section 15 of CICRA, which is Credit Information Companies Regulation Act 2005, every credit institution shall become a member of at least one CIC. And thereafter, in February again 2013, there have been few guidelines by for the Fair Practice Code for NBFCs, wherein in detail description was given that how you're going to process the application, and then how the loan appraisals and terms and conditions is to be there. So, for example, where they talk about that all communication to the borrower shall be in a, it has to be, I mean, these are quite basics. So it has to be in vernacular language, and it has to be in a vernacular language, and loan application form should be necessary information which affects the interest of the borrower. And then loan appraisal and terms and conditions. So it has to be in writing, then sanction letter has to be there. If suppose you do not furnish a copy of loan agreement or enclosure quoted in the loan agreement, is then that will be considered as an unfair practice also. So this could also lead to dispute between the NBFC and the borrower. So some reasonable guidelines were framed, and that was circulated by RBI. And they also talk about, in that circular, they also talk about disbursement of loan, including changes in the terms and conditions, that how to do that. And then there were various, I would say good and reasonable things were there. So, for example, in the matter of recovery of loans, then NBFC should not resort to undue harassment and persistently bothering the borrowers in odd hours, and then they can't use muscle powers for the recovery of loans. These are, again, reasonable guidelines that was framed and that was circulated. Besides, again, in I think in 2005, they have just talked about a lot about KYCs, that how you're just going to take care of the CKYC, Central KYC registration process, and that is quite one of the most important NBFC compliance that we have. So the purpose of CKYC was to gather record for the customers in these financial services. So CERSAI, which means Central Registry of Securitization and Asset Reconstructions and Security Interest. So that is CERSAI, which is the registry authority basically for the Central KYC. So the object of KYC guidelines was to prevent bank from being used intentionally or unintentionally or by criminal elements for money laundering and for terrorist financing activities. So this was the main motto of the RBI. And obtaining central KYC registration is essential for all the NBFCs in order to reduce the burden of the entity. A bank, they said like banks should frame their KYC policies, incorporating for the following. You can say there were 4 elements that was given. So, for example, one is customer acceptance policy, and then customer identification procedures was given, and then monitoring of transactions was there, and then risk management. So this was basically divided into 4 parts. And then I think back in 2010-11, they also talk about wherein they cannot be partners in a partnership firms. So there were specific guidelines. So that includes limited liability partnership as well, that wherein there was a risk involved in NBFCs associating themselves with a partnership firm, and they have decided to prohibit NBFCs from contributing capital to any partnership firm or to be a partners in a partnership firm. So if suppose they have done that, so before that period, they have to just take a retirement from the partnership firm. So this is how it was categorized. And Abhijit, you know, I mean, I think in October 2021 only, so there have been just one important development if we talk about NBFCs compliances. So these are basically divided into 4 categories now. So now one is called base layer, middle layer, upper layer, and top layer. So when you talk about what is base layer, so the base layer shall comprise of a non-deposit taking below the asset size of 1,000 crore, and B is NBFC's undertaking for activities like NBFC peer-to-peer lending platform, NBFC that we also call NBFC P2P, and then NBFC account aggregator, in short we call NBFC AA, and then NOFSC, so that is called non-operative financial holding company, and then NBFC not availing public funds and not having any customer interface. So these are called base layer. Who are in the middle layer is they may be like all deposit taking irrespective of the asset size. So NBFC with asset size of 1,000 crore and above. And then what all they can do is like standalone primary dealers, SPDs, and then IDF NBFCs, that is called infrastructure debt fund. Then the third is core CICs, core investment companies, and then HFCs are there, housing finance companies are there, and then IFCs, infrastructure companies, finance companies are there. Now, if we talk about upper layer, the upper layer shall comprise of those NBFCs which are specifically identified by the Reserve Bank as warranting enhancing regulatory requirement based on a set of parameters and scoring as methodology as provided in the circular itself. And then when it comes to the top layer will ideally remain empty, and this layer can get populated if the Reserve Bank is of the opinion that there is a substantial increase in the potential of the systematic risk from the specific NBFC in the upper layer. So these NBFCs shall move to the top layer from the upper layer. So these are a few categorization has happened as per 1.6 regulation. Again, as we mentioned that. Now there have been some SBR framework as well that one has to just go through. And I think from 1st October 2022, all references to NBFCs, ND, and under existing regulation would construed as NBFC BL. And all references of NBFC NDSI and NBFC D would mean NBFC ML or UL. So RBI has clarified that NBFC NDSI whose asset size is more than previous threshold, that is 500 crore, but less than new threshold, which is 1,000 crore, would fall under the NBFC BL category. So these are a few changes that has happened, and one has to just go through the entire circulation of I think 22nd of October 2021. This was there in the public domain. So these compliances has to be fulfilled, and I think this is all that I can talk about. But if you talk about RBI intimation that applicable for all NBFCs. So that is like filing annual return to RBI, and then a statutory auditor certificate has to their annual returns are there. If suppose there are any changes into directors or principal officers, then that has to be informed. So these are few you can say these are few parameters or compliances that one has to take care of.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what happens in case of non-compliances? Can you give us few examples of non-compliances?
Yeah, surely. So since it is regulated by RBI, so RBI is the one who is just going to be after you. And if suppose, as we talk about various circulations and then compliances, if suppose some companies are not following the same, then obviously there are strict penalties. RBI, everybody knows like how strict they are when it comes to the regulation, and there are no exemptions for anyone. So if suppose you're falling under the subject, then we have to just comply with all the filings and compliances that has been framed. One has to take care of all the circulars that we talk about. So strict regulatory, you can say, action if the company has its principal deposits and then making investment, but has not obtained then obviously heavy penalty is going to be imposed. RBI also invites reporting of any entity which does not have NBFC activity but does not figure it in the list of authorization NBFC on the RBI website. And so there are appropriate actions that RBI can take as and when it is required. However, when you talk about in terms of examples, then I have one circular in front of me which talks about high risk of NBFCs due to PMLA non-compliance. So wherein it states that on account of non-compliance of PMLA, the central government, that is FIU, Financial Intelligence Unit, that works under the Financial Ministry, has released a list of placing approximately 9,491 NBFCs under this high risk category. So under the PMLA, NBFCs, which includes various cooperative banks, are required to provide details regarding the financial operation to the FIU. According to FIU, these 9,491 NBFCs did not comply with the condition of appointing a principal officer and designated director who is responsible for checking and reporting any suspicious transaction and cash transaction of more than 10 lakh. So who are principal officers? So if we talk about Abhijit, so this circular was there and they were supposed to comply. So these were two parameters that principal officer has to be there, and there are certain duties that was informed. So if we talk about basic duties, responsibility of principal officer could be reporting suspicious transaction to Financial Intelligence Unit on a bi-monthly basis, and then suspicious transaction will be informed to the VC, that is Vigilance Committee. Once VC verifies the details, if found suspicious, will be informed to the principal officer. Once the principal officer is convinced of the nature of suspicion, he or she should inform the same to the FIU, and the principal officer will monitor all the activities, these kind of things. So you can understand that RBI has, under PMLA, there is a PMLA non-compliance. So under this category, 9,491 companies were listed. So there's a huge list over here. So one has to be very careful when it comes to the compliances. There's no doubt on that. So for example, on last Thursday, RBI has imposed penalties on 2 cooperative banks and NBFC for the deficiency of certain regulatory compliance. So there was a penalty of 3 lakh that has been imposed on Jijamata Mahila Sarkari Bank, that was there in Pune in Maharashtra, for non-compliance with the directors. With the direction on exposure norms and statutory UCVs. This is what the central bank said. So in another statement, it said a penalty of 2 lakh has been imposed on the Muslim Cooperative Bank Limited, that is again in Pune, for the contravention or non-compliance with the directions issued by the RBI for the KYC that we already talked about. So see, KYC, when we talk about KYC, people think that, okay, KYC is very small things, but the rules are there that has been set, that is very simple, but it has to be followed quite rigidly. So if suppose RBI found anything as such, then I'm sure, they will be after us. And then in one of the matters, they have imposed 5 lakhs of penalty to the Sayyid Shariat Finance Limited, that is there in Tamil Nadu, which is for the non-compliance of the, again, KYC direction of 2016. So these are a few things. So RBI has imposed by an order, there's January 31st, 2020, a monetary penalty of 2 lakh on Fortune Integrated Asset Finance Limited Company, which is there in Mumbai, with the direction issued by RBI on monitoring of fraud in NBFC's direction 2016. So, so these are few. If you want, I don't think, we have to just talk about these things in detail, right? So I think this is all that examples, that is something that I can cover up.
Thank you, Rajdev Singh, for joining us and sharing in-depth knowledge about NBFC and compliances. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you, Abhijit. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Take care.
Thanks. Bye.